everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Flock's Nest Sports Podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Dallas, repping 52, Ray Lewis of the Baltimore Ravens.
On the other half, Brendan repping 54, Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks.
First off, we want to apologize by not having an episode last week. Personal lives just got a little too chaotic. We tried, pushed it to the very last opportunity to get one done and out. Just didn't happen that way. So this week, we have plenty to cover. It's more news than anything else, honestly. We're going to talk a little bit of sports, just what happened, and mostly news. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. We'll talk about NFL honors, NFL Hall of Fame, all that fun
The NBA
stuff.
trade deadline was last week.
And that was insane. I almost feel like, Brendan, we should do things a little opposite today. I feel like we should just kick it off with the Super Bowl.
You know, that's a fair thing to do. I think
because there's just so much news.
That's a fair thing to do. I don't hate that idea. Let's do it. Super Bowl.
Let's do that. Cool.
Super Bowl Sunday.
So Philadelphia and Kansas City played in New Orleans, which they appreciate. You guys, if you're not sure, the Super Bowl is always set a couple years out, but they try to kind of have it in areas that are warm or covered, but also in areas that can use the most financial help. New Orleans tends to see one pretty often. Parts of Florida, I would bet we'll see an LA one in the next couple of years.
I know San Francisco is next year, so
yeah,
not quite LA, but
they try to put it in those areas so all of that influx of money kind of helps the cities rebuild and things like that. So to have it in New Orleans was awesome. Great capital for them. And yeah, let's kick it off to the game.
I also think New Orleans always just has great Super Bowls. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the Superdome is an incredible, atmosphere. It's very loud. It's very energetic.
And New Orleans had a couple, and I want to say one of them was the Ravens 49ers, which was a good one. That was the year the blackout happened. Who's the other one? That was, I think it was Rams New England, where they had the low scoring.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the other one. That was recent. So yeah,
always a good time. And New Orleans is a great city, obviously. Very energetic. It's a great vibe. So yeah. Definitely an energetic Super Bowl this year. Didn't go how either of us expected it. So let's get into it. Philadelphia, the Eagles did win 40-22, kind of avenging their loss from 2 years ago. Brennan, what were your thoughts? What the fuck?
I'm going to start off by apologizing to Jalen Hurts. I did
on
this podcast. I'm going to get ahead of this. On this podcast, I said he would never be a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He proved me wrong. He won Super Bowl MVP. It was deserved. He had a great game. He had the one interception. Wasn't the best decision.
Yeah.
But otherwise, great game. Led his team to victory. So I was wrong. I'll be the first to admit that. He played, and he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He gets to say that for the rest of his life, and not very many people get to. So congrats to him.
Yeah.
And congrats to the Eagles. But this game, I think, really, Jalen Hurts won the MVP of the Super Bowl, but really it was the defense of the Eagles. They were incredible the entire game. Shut the Chiefs out in the first half. Second half, Chiefs still couldn't really do anything. They scored some garbage time touchdowns when it just didn't matter. I think the last touchdown, the Eagles had pretty much subbed in backups. So for that defense to play that way.
When your backup quarterback is playing in the Super Bowl, I mean, it's not.
Yeah. So again, for the Eagles defense to come out like that, force 3 turnovers on Mahomes himself, including a pick 6. I mean, that defense was smothering, sacked him several times. I think the total was 7, if I recall correctly, which I think is a Super Bowl record or tied a Super Bowl record. Um, that defense was playing phenomenal. Um, so really, the defense to me was the MVP of the game. You just couldn't give it to the whole defense. So if you had to pick one player, I think Jalen Hurts was deserving. You could have gone to someone on the defense, but I'm not going to complain. Jalen Hurts did play well, had the rushing touchdown, had a great pass to Devontae Smith for a touchdown, and then hit A.J. Brown for another one. So 3 total touchdowns. He played really well. So nothing to take away from Jalen Hurts, but that defense I think was the star of the show for the Eagles. And then for the Chiefs, this is the worst they played all year. Um, Really surprising. Mahomes and Kelsey just couldn't get going at all in the game. Um, so weird, like uncharacteristic mistakes. I think you're starting to see Kelsey's age a little bit.
Yeah.
Just couldn't really get anything going there. And then like that offense couldn't hold up. The offensive line struggled. Um, as a whole, that offense just couldn't get anything done, and their defense, when the offense isn't getting anything done and leaving with the 3 turnovers, the pick 6, and the defense gets behind and just on the field a lot, it just wasn't the Chiefs' day.
Yeah, I mean, uh, credit to Jalen Hurts, honestly. I've been hard on him. I've been critical. I think this was by far the best version of him.
Yeah,
Saquon never seriously got going. He
that
never really
was
broke off a massive run. I think until the third quarter he had a 25 plus yard run, but they couldn't really get the run going. He threw the ball very well. Obviously, he's got great receivers with Swift and Brown. Um, I felt like from the Eagles' perspective, you saw who the Eagles were the whole game. They're up like 24-0, and AJ Brown and Sirianni are yelling at each other on the sideline. Like, what is there to be upset about at that point? You saw Hurts play at a really great level. I agreed. I thought it was going to go to the sack leader on the defense. I kind of thought that's who the MVP.
that or the pick
Um,
6, but
yeah, but I get it. I think I was talking about this with the people I was watching the Super Bowl with. I think the last defensive MVP was Von Miller. Um,
I
for
think
the
you're right.
Super Bowl. So it's pretty rare.
And you
And
have to
then
be like,
offensively, because Saquon didn't really get going. Multiple people had great catches, multiple touchdowns. Jalen Hurts is, I think, kind of the obvious choice. Um, and yeah, I think like you were trying to say, when a defensive player gets it, they have a phenomenal game.
it's
Like they stand
Von
out
Miller
among the rest.
in that game had
Um,
like 2 strip sacks, the most important strip sack of the game. One of the last defensive players I can remember winning it was when Seattle won the Super Bowl, and it was Malcolm Smith, and he had I think 2 interceptions, a pick 6, and a
yeah,
sack.
like
Like it's games like that you win as a defensive player.
so I don't hate it. I'm not bothered by it. I think he earned it. Um,
No,
I thought it was a very real Eagles performance. You saw their personality. Um, from the Chiefs standpoint, it wasn't that they lost. It was that every part of that team, that kind of everything we've seen them build on over the last few years, just seemed to disintegrate.
oh yeah,
They had O-line struggles, which were the same struggles they had in the loss against the Bucks. Um, he could not connect well with any of his receivers. Him and Kelsey didn't have it. The run game never got going. So all of the pass rush was focused on Mahomes, and he could not get out of it. We see Mahomes so often be able to pick up at least the first down or pick up 5 yards, every time he attempted to, he just lost yardage. It was pretty incredible to watch. It's pretty.
It was
Um,
it was definitely one of the most dominant defensive performances we've seen
it was
in the Super
crazy,
Bowl
and I
since.
I think the thing I really expected a better defensive game plan from the Chiefs. I think they thought, like a lot of people did, that if they shut down the run and you made Hurts one dimensional, they'd be able to keep pace, and it just didn't matter.
I,
Hurts was able to kind of pick apart the secondary, throwing the ball,
he
and
ended up having a good day on the ground. Um,
yeah,
so I think that was kind of the help is
I
they
think
shut
they were
down
so
Saquon
focused on Saquon.
that he ended up getting a lot of the yards on the ground. So I mean, that's where their run game came from, was Jalen. But yeah, I agree. As a whole, I think the Chiefs just I don't know what happened, like what went wrong for them, but it went wrong and it went wrong quick.
And I don't know what Kelsey's future holds. I know he said he's undecided. Most athletes will tell you, and we talked about this when it was Jason, that it's never good to make those decisions off a massive high or low.
Yeah.
Um, have time to mellow out, see kind of what your body's telling you, what your mind is telling you. But I think it does bring him into the conversation. This was probably one of the only chances you were going to get to do this.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to repeat.
But to go
Nobody had
three.
ever three-peated, and nobody had ever. Now, I'll give them credit. Nobody had made it that far before on a three-peat. But with Kelsey getting older, an O-line in shambles, a wide receiver room they keep having to rebuild, I'm just not sure that
And
I'm
to
not saying that it would be smart to bet against them. I would bet at this point in time, good money, they will be in the AFC Championship game next year. That's fair. I'm
yeah,
not going to deny that. I'm not going to fight that. I'll deal with that then. But to have this opportunity to three-peat again,
I don't know. So I
I
think
just
for
don't think
him
that's.
it would make sense. It does kind of suck for his career to end on kind of a sour note, but
Yeah.
I just don't think, based on everything, how that game went for him, I kind of just think that might be it for
I
Travis
mean, at
Kelsey.
the end of the day, I think it sucks to go out on the loss. I'm not going to. You still have 3 Super Bowl rings.
Oh yeah, mhm.
Like, you've still had a phenomenal career. And you're in every fucking TV show, commercial,
Yeah.
bullshit. Like, the world is out there waiting for you.
And
Um,
once he fully commits to going that route, because
yeah,
Jason went that like once Jason fully committed, it
he's
opened
just there.
up
He's
for
in
him.
everything. It's crazy.
Travis is gonna be the same way.
So, I just, I no matter what team it is, whether I like them or not, and I think I've made my opinion on the Chiefs pretty clear. Um, you do feel bad for him. Like, it's hard to get to that point. It's hard. Like, you put
Yeah,
in so much time, so much effort. It's what for them, a 19 game season. And to lose sucks, but genuinely congratulations to the Eagles. I know 2 years ago to lose on kind of a walk-off field goal sucked, and to be able to get back and for a team that is rebuilt the way they have and had to rebuild at certain positions, and genuinely for a quarterback, a lot of people had, me included, you included, had questions about, to
if
get
they
over that
could.
home is fantastic.
So yeah, congrats to the Eagles. Very impressive Super Bowl win. One of the more
Yeah.
boring Super Bowls to watch.
No, 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 no.
What
I watched Mahomes get sacked so many times. It was not boring. I was enjoying the shit out of it.
from a game standpoint, it was
From a
boring.
game standpoint, it was not very exciting, but I loved every minute of it. I
Fair
was
enough, I
not going to
guess.
pay attention. I was going to have I had my phone. And then I was like, oh,
Oh,
and this boring game had me hooked.
fair enough.
Going into the fourth quarter though, I went to bed.
Yeah,
It's like I was like, we can go
I
home
worked on
now because this
homework
is
for most
over.
of it, but
So
it was still a good Super Bowl. Um,
yeah,
I don't know. That's
and
pretty.
I think like it's just good for the sport for other people to win. Like
Yeah,
I like seeing other champions. I like seeing other people host that trophy. After two in a row, possibly three, I'm sitting there going, "My God,
yeah,
I'm losing interest in a sport I care about because the same people keep winning."
yeah.
So to see someone else do it, very exciting. Does this two things? I have two of my questions I
Okay.
used to do because we have so little. Um, does this adjust? Does this put Hurts in that top five conversation?
No, but he does move him up the board from where he was. I still don't think he quite cracks into the top five. Um, just on pure like talent level and like how much he means to the team. Um, but I do think he's not far off. He's sitting at 6, 7, like
He's
right
definitely in the
there.
top 10, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
like he solidified top 10, and a bad season from a Stafford, a bad season from a Burrow, something like that, and he could vault himself into that conversation of top five. Because I do think you still have the top four of Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, Burrow, and whatever order you want to put it in. That's really the
Yeah.
top four. That fifth spot is more up for grabs. You have the Staffords, you have the Goffs, you have the Hurts, you have the younger guys like Stroud, stuff like that. So I'd put him in that conversation. For me, he's probably 6 after this, maybe 7. So another good year, and he could definitely move
That's
up.
fair. That's fair.
It's hard to deny. Like he's won games, and now he's won the biggest game.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. We'll see what next year brings. I am having a hard time right now having Burrow ahead of him, quite frankly. The other three, yes.
I think in terms of
Stafford, yes.
quarterbacks, I think in terms of how they play the position, I would still put Burrow ahead of him because I still don't like
And
how
that's
Jalen
kind
Hurts
of
plays the
where
quarterback position.
I'm at, but
Um,
I another year and maybe I will change my mind.
and that's where I'm at.
He is unfortunately changing offensive coordinators again, so we
Yeah,
will get to
we
that
will get to
later,
that
but that will have an impact on how I feel next
every
season.
season. Every season.
So it's pretty impressive. Um,
Nick Sirianni somehow knows how to build staff.
all right, question number 2. The whole universe is available to you, so try not to take some cop out answer.
Okay.
Who's the biggest loser
Of the
of
Super
this
Bowl,
Super Bowl? Yeah.
the New York Giants. More specifically,
Okay,
Joe Shane. Now, don't get me
that's fair.
wrong, it would have been a lot worse had Saquon Barkley gone off and done
Yeah.
what personally how I expected the Super Bowl to go was I thought Saquon was going to be the driving force, like Saquon and the defense.
If they were gonna win, it was gonna be because of Saquon.
I thought Saquon was going to be just dominant on the ground and the defense would do enough. And that's not what happened. Defense was dominant and Jalen Hurts did enough. So Saquon was a non-factor. Now I still think it's the Giants.
Oh, I think Saquon was a massive factor. You just didn't see it in yardage.
Yes. No, I'm not saying he wasn't a
But I get what you mean. He
non-factor.
didn't impact moving the ball the whole time.
Yeah. Now I think had he you my answer would be solidified New York Giants.
That's
But
fair.
it still is. Saquon Barkley went to the Eagles and just won a championship. The Eagles as a whole are great top down, but yeah, Saquon goes, wins a championship, and it's just kind of a big FU to the Giants.
That's fair.
Like, so to
That's
me,
fair.
it's kind of them. And the season he had, the playoffs he had, for me, is the Giants.
That's fair. That's a fair statement. Um, I kind of agree. I I don't want to say Joe. I think it would be Joe Shane specifically if he had been fired today. Or this week he was not, obviously, and we know his job is safe. In its own right, I kind of think it's Jason Kelsey.
Okay, fair enough.
So here's my thought process. One, if you just hung on just a little bit longer, I don't think things are much different. But also, I feel like it was kind of like the Super Bowl 2 years ago when they played. Like for him, it's kind of a no-win situation. Like the Eagles are your team, it's your brotherhood, your family, and then your actual brother.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell are you supposed to do? And what do you want? And so I feel like in its own right, he was kind of one of like it was just a no-win situation.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, like to be so close 2 years ago and then retire, and then this year they get back and they get it done. I just kind of go Jason.
Fair enough. I thought about it. I was like, damn, if he had just held on one more year.
Yeah, if he just held on, just a
But I tend to think I'm like he got out. He chose
no,
to,
and I
and
I
I don't think
respect
you can.
that, and I don't think I think at that point you can't regret it no matter what happens.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the whole situation.
Yeah. So for him,
So
that's fair. I still think it's for the
no, and
Giants.
that's
It's
I
just
mean I respect the shit out of that. I just didn't want to be like same moving on
yeah, fair.
to give an answer. That's the problem with you always going first.
That's why I go first.
You go first because I asked the questions.
That's a personal problem.
When you ask the questions, I'll go first. All right. Well, I think that does it for the Super Bowl. Again, congratulations to Philly. Congratulations to the Eagles. I believe they have their parade Friday.
Yeah.
Um,
To the
so
city of
that's
Philadelphia.
always
Don't burn your
a
city down.
great time. That's always crazy.
Yeah. Try not to burn
We'll
your city to the
see,
ground.
yeah, how that goes and who gives their speech. It will be hard to match Jason's from the year they did
Yeah.
win.
Ooh.
Um,
My guess is it'll be an
but
offensive lineman to try.
probably.
Um, but I doubt they'll be able to come close.
So, yeah.
All right.
All right, now on
Hold on.
to okay.
Something. Okay. We're good.
Now on to the vast array of news. Um, Leading up to the Super Bowl, we have NFL honors and the Hall of Fame. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. We'll start DPOI. Because that was the most of the position.
That's
That
fair.
went to Patrick Surtain. Kind of an interesting one. Didn't really expect it. Had a great season.
I did not expect that.
Um, had a great season. Not to take away from him, just didn't really expect him to get it. Like
Yeah.
I knew it was a possibility. I just didn't think they'd give it to a corner without having this. Because he had a good season. He didn't have a great season. I feel like. Um,
I I feel like because we talked about this when we talked about Watt and Garrett, that a lot of defensive players were having good seasons, but nobody was really standing out.
yeah,
And so for it to not go to a pass rusher in general, it's kind of
odd, but
weird.
you know,
But I think he earned it. I think he's had a great season. But yeah, I don't know that anybody seriously stood out enough.
Yeah. So congrats to Patrick Surtain. You're the DPOY. The city
Yep.
of Denver now has, I mean, swept the board in terms of certain things.
Yeah.
You had MVP of the NBA, MVP of the NHL, MVP of college football, and now DPOY of the NFL in the same year. So that's pretty impressive.
Go Denver. Go
Apparently, shit.
Denver.
Um, Onto the offense player of the year. But zero surprise to literally anybody. It
Anybody?
is Saquon Barkley. I think the biggest surprise of the OPOY voting was the fact that Jamar Chase really didn't get a ton of votes.
Jamar was third because it went
Yeah,
Saquon, Lamar, Jamar, and then Henry.
yeah. So for him to not even get, because he only had like two first place votes or something like that, and
Yeah.
not get a lot
I
was definitely
This
weird.
was the one. There were two, but one for separate reasons. We're gonna get into it. This was the one I get it. Saquon had a great season. I am not denying that. He had a clear impact on the Eagles. I stated there have been 9 2,000-yard rushing backs. There have only been 4 or 5 Triple Crown winners. So I felt like Jamar Chase
I
should
think
have been
the
further up the list.
only issue with that argument is you're right. He should have been. Is you have recency bias on that one. Um, the 1,000 or the Triple Crown happened more recently than 2,000 yard rusher.
And
Um,
that's fair.
and that
And
that
I
and
do
I think that is
think
something to keep in mind.
this is also an instance their record hurt them.
Oh yeah,
If they'd had a better season, if they'd been in the playoffs, maybe he's further up the voting charts. But
yeah.
which
It
is
was
what
definitely
shocks me
about the comeback
about
player of the year.
which this was crazy. This was crazy. Look, he's hurt all the fucking time. So by the way, sorry, Joe Burrow was named comeback
Yeah,
player of the year. This sort of happened because it had to. A player had to have
and
they had to be hurt. They had to have a
yeah,
season-ending injury the
prior
last time we
year,
saw them. So he came back, and statistically, he had a great season. Sure. Missed the motherfucking playoffs, though. So I'm just.
but I don't think there's anybody else you could have picked
And that's kind of my.
because they
That's like.
changed how voting happens on it.
But I just want to be clear that the guy that literally died on the field couldn't get it, but he's hurt every fucking year,
Well, the
and we
guy that
count
died on
it.
the field didn't do anything afterwards. Okay, let's be
He's a
clear.
starter. Um, so
He's the
this
starter,
bugs the crap out of me. I
I
bugs
don't
the
know.
crap out of me.
It's definitely not great, but like again, because of how they changed it, pick another one and you probably can't.
Yeah. No, and
Um,
that's
Had they continued it the way it used to be, it probably would have gone to Sam Darnold. Um, for the same reason it went to Geno Smith a couple years ago, but after Geno Smith won it, they changed the rule.
I
So
thought it was after
it was,
because didn't Flacco won,
I
and that
think
was the
that
year
might
they
be, yeah.
changed it
It was
because
because
they
of the
picked
back to.
Flacco over Hamlin,
It was because of the back to back. Yeah, yeah,
and they were like, "Okay, you're done."
yeah. It was,
So yeah,
yeah.
didn't didn't love that one.
Well,
Uh,
it was definitely a win.
but okay, sure.
Um, Defensive rookie of the year went to Jared Verse. No surprise there either.
Nope.
Best rookie of a pretty weak rookie class in terms of how they performed throughout the season. Like there were some guys that really stood out, but no one like elevated themselves above the pack. So
Yeah,
Jared Verse probably had the best season of any rookie. And he gets defense rookie of the year. Um, so congrats to him. Fuck the
congrats.
Rams. That's pretty much my opinion on it.
That's an opinion.
Go from Aaron Donald to him. Have to fucking deal with it now. Fuck me. Whatever. I'll just aside. Great season from him, but whatever. And then offensive rookie of the year, once again, no surprise.
No surprise.
Went to Jaden Daniels. Had a phenomenal rookie season. Was great all around. Led a shitty Washington Commanders team to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, for me, this was a. Don't get me wrong, he played phenomenally. I have said, let's just temper expectations. Like, let's just calm the hell down. But what he did for that team and that organization and this year and to make the strides they made was incredible. I think he more than earned it on and off the field. And he had far and away the best season of the quarterbacks for this rookie class. So
yeah. He probably had the best rookie season of all rookies, period.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great season. So congratulations to him. No surprise, no problems. Moving on.
Coach of the year. This one goes to Kevin O'Connell. Could have gone to a couple people. Kevin O'Connell was very much deserving. Kind of revitalized Sam Darnold's career. Got them to the playoffs. Had a great season. Came second in the NFC North.
Yep.
So yeah, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, I think coaches is always a hard one. I think there were several deserving candidates, but he was definitely one of them. The expectations for this team after last year with their new quarterback going down, everyone thinking, hey, we know what Sam Darnold looks like, to do as well as they did, to have the season they had, a game away from first place in the North.
It was fantastic. Impressive.
So, congrats to him. Yeah, great season by the Vikings. Excited to see what he does with them in the future. And we will definitely be keeping a close eye on the Vikings because they have some intense decisions to make this offseason.
Yeah. And then last but not least is the MVP of the NFL. This one goes to Josh Allen. Beat out Lamar Jackson for the MVP.
So, I have a few things.
I figured as much, as why I was going to pass it to you.
I think they got it wrong, but whatever. That's fine. If Josh Allen was your MVP, he was your MVP. I don't give a fuck. I felt like it was a cop-out. We made one the All-Pro and one the MVP, so we didn't really have to decide. and everybody knew. We all decided the same thing. It's a cop-out. It's a cop-out. It's a way to not answer the question by answering the question.
It's answering the question with another question.
Yeah, but who was it really? And then I think the vote difference was 4 votes.
The closest MVP in several years.
The person that voted Lamar 4th, though,
that is a choice.
What psycho shit were you watching? I watched the NFL. I'm not sure what they were watching.
It's fine, Dallas. It's fine.
That's insane.
There are people in this world that probably should not be allowed to vote on these things.
That person's one of them.
And they should have
take their card away.
Yeah.
I don't care that Josh Allen won the MVP. Obviously, I disagree. I am bothered because I genuinely feel like it's a cop-out. We made one usually the All-Pro and the MVP are the same person. And there are reasons for that. Because the criteria and what we're looking for are the same. So when you make one the All-Pro and one the MVP, like you said, you're answering a question with a question. You didn't answer it. You didn't actually pick one.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I am happy for Josh Allen. He had a great season. I do think he deserved it. I'm not saying that's not true. I think Lamar in my mind, edged him a little bit. Not the point. Not the point I'm trying to make. Point I'm making is, what the fuck?
Voters gonna vote, man. I don't
Like,
know, dude. I will. This is a cop out for the voters. But I don't know. And yeah, seriously, whoever voted Lamar fourth, yeah, sure. I guess keep
if you
on
want
watching.
Josh Allen first, you can make Josh Allen first, but let's not be one outrageously insane or disrespectful for no goddamn reason.
Yeah, that one definitely. I saw that and went, that's a choice. That is a. I don't know. I don't think anything will be make me more upset in terms of voting than a voter on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Um,
Okay.
that was recently. Ichiro, the former Seattle Mariner, was
Okay.
voted into the Hall of Fame and was one vote away from unanimous first ballot.
Ah,
Um, and that is
Lamar's
ridiculous.
MVP last year.
Yeah,
So,
you know.
nope, that's insane. And that's, I think sometimes collectively we make decisions just for the fuck of it. Yeah, I want to be clear. It's not about Josh Allen at all. I do think he earned it. I think, congratulations to him. His speech, I watched his speech. It was very beautiful. Congratulations to him. He does finally kind of have one. So much of the conversation around Josh Allen has been, unfortunately, you can discuss, at this point, you could have discussed the NFL in this era and left him out, and it wouldn't have changed the story. You could have left him out of the story. You could have left him out of the history of the NFL. And now he is etched in it permanently. Congratulations to him. Hopefully the voters will calm the fuck down because now he finally has one. Happy for him. I am a little happy that Lamar didn't win one. Just because of kind of how the season went. My concern with Lamar is, as well as he played and as flashy as it is or as exciting as it is, eventually I think it will plateau, but also there is a goal in mind, and it's not another MVP. It's a Super Bowl. So, with voter fatigue and all of these things and the questions about the playoffs, and this year didn't necessarily help that, helped a little bit, not phenomenal, but I'm kind of glad he didn't win one. If it hadn't been for the All Pro. If Allen had won the All Pro, I'd have been like, cool, Allen's the MVP. I get it. Y'all made a choice. We're moving on. Straight up just didn't answer the question.
Hey, they have the right to do that, I guess.
Who's the MVP? Flip a fucking coin.
Pretty much.
So,
All right. Well, I guess we're talking about two future Hall of Famers. So let's talk about people that just got inducted to the Hall of Fame.
hopefully their future, if you're looking at our notes.
Huh?
I don't know.
What are
Oh,
you
no,
talking
I
about?
get what you're saying. Do you think Josh Allen is a future Hall of Famer?
At the rate he's going, yeah.
Okay.
I think at the rate he's going, he'll end up cracking it. If he
Okay.
continues
He has to continue an
improving,
upward trajectory.
yeah. If he continue,
Yes.
obviously it's a projection. I'm
I
assuming that
think
he's
if
not
he
gonna
retired today,
no.
he is not.
If he retired today, probably not. But we're not assuming he retires today. I'm assuming he
I don't know.
continues and
Shit
progresses.
happens. I don't know. It's contact sport, man.
Okay. If he pulls an Andrew Luck, then no.
That's
But
fair.
as of now, I have no reason to assume that. So yeah, the Hall
All
of
right.
the Hall of Fame class of 2025 has been announced.
Yep.
It only has 4 members currently. There are still more that could be added later. But there's 4 members, so we'll talk about the 4. Eric Allen has been inducted into the Hall of Fame. He was part of the Eagles. Ended up winning a bunch of All Pros. Was a defensive back that had a ton of interceptions. Played really well. ended up playing in New Orleans and Oakland for a little bit. Just a really high quality defensive player. Ends up getting elected to the Hall of Fame. Not someone I really got to watch. Kind of did most of his work in the late 80s, 90s, part of the 2000s, but had a great career. So congrats to him to making the Hall of Fame. Second is Jared Allen, the pass rusher from, I believe, started his career in Kansas City. Ended up kind of moving around a little bit. Really made his mark on the Vikings. That's where I remember him playing because I did end up overlapping the end of his career. Just a great edge rusher, phenomenal player, great with the Vikings. Deserved the Hall of Fame. So congrats to Jared Allen. 2 Allens making the Hall of Fame. Kind of interesting. Third on the list is Antonio Gates, the tight end from the now the Los Angeles Chargers, but when he played, they were still the San Diego Chargers. He was one of my favorite players in the league for a while. Loved to watch him play. Back in the 2010 season, I think it was. He was great. One of the best tight ends to ever do it. Great receiving tight end. Could do pretty much anything.
He holds the record for receiving touchdowns, I believe, total in his career for a tight end.
Didn't know that. Didn't know that he was the all-time receiving touchdown leader for tight ends. So that's really cool. Great player. Really fun to watch with that. Him and Philip Rivers had a great connection, and
yes,
one of the all-time duos right there. And then probably the most heartwarming inductee to the Hall of Fame was Sterling Sharp, the brother of current Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp. Sterling was a wide receiver, ended up cutting his career short due to injury. I believe it was his knee that he injured. Was a Packer through and through, only played for them. But they become the first brothers to be in the Hall of Fame together, Sterling and Shannon. So that is really impressive.
pretty crazy.
The reveal video for Sterling making the Hall of Fame was definitely
Yes. Yeah, that caught you in the feels.
Yeah.
That
Especially if you know what Shannon Sharp's his speech was when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, hits you even more. In that speech, he talks about how he's not the best football player in his family. He was referring to Sterling when he said that. So
and
yeah,
he's done multiple interviews multiple times and stated that if he could give it all of his success up so that his brother hadn't been hurt, and could have kept playing, he would in a heartbeat. So
and I was wrong. It was a neck injury, not a knee injury.
Oh yeah. So it just caught you in the feels. But it was a very heartwarming moment. Very happy for him.
Yeah, first pair of brothers in the Hall of Fame. So congrats to Sterling Sharp. Well deserved. Could have had a great career if it wasn't for injuries. So congrats to the 4 names. Obviously, there could be some more added. That kind of just happens randomly. But yeah, those are the 4 currently that are members of the 2025 Hall of Fame class. So congrats to all of them.
Which means that currently, Eli Manning did not make the cut his first ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And for Ravens fans, neither did Terrell Suggs or Marshall Yonda.
Which is a little surprising, but
I was a little surprised, yes, especially when only 4 are current.
yeah,
I was a little shocked. But we shall see, and hopefully they get their chance or, end up in it. I think at least 2 of those names have had Hall of Fame worthy careers. I guess one, he technically did. You win 2 Super Bowls. It's not.
I think honestly, what's going to carry Eli Manning to that is the fact that he's Peyton's brother and the fact that his 2 Super Bowls both came against Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised we weren't just done. this time. Like,
Yeah.
do it.
I guess we'll see what happens. I imagine he'll make it at some point.
I imagine he will. But he did not this round. So we shall see. But congratulations to all of them. Yeah, if you haven't seen Sterling's video, go watch it, please.
Yeah, it definitely hits you in the feels.
Especially if you need a good cry. It's a great time for that.
Yeah. And then just some housekeeping news. The only team that had a head coaching position still open has filled it. The New Orleans Saints have hired Kellen Moore as their head coach. So Kellen Moore's not even making the trip back to Philly. He gets to just stay in New Orleans, where he won. He's still going to make the trip.
I would maybe go back for the parade.
He's going back for the parade, but the point stands. He could pretty much
out your office.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were pretty confident that was going to happen. There was no logical reason for the Saints to wait so long to hire a head coach. If he wasn't your number one candidate, and if you listen to the broadcast for the Super Bowl and multiple outlets were pretty much reporting the deal was done. They just couldn't officially finalize it while he was still on another team. So the moment the game ended, pretty much that contract ended. So he was allowed to accept the position formally. But everyone was like, the deal was basically done.
Yeah, and it was released today that he is taking over as the head coach. So good luck to him. He's going to need it because that franchise is a shit show.
Brain wreck.
But
brain wreck.
We'll see. I think the most interesting thing about this is he played Derek Carr in college. They played against each other, both as quarterbacks.
That's insane to think about.
Yeah.
My God, Carr's so old.
Carr was a freshman. Kellen Moore was a senior.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Boise State versus Fresno State.
Okay. Yeah. Nope. That's insane.
Yeah. Just a little fact in there.
Think. That's crazy. He's so old.
But yeah. So congrats to Kellen Moore. Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah. Good luck. It's
definitely
That's it. That's what I got. You need to figure out a quarterback situation. You're in cap hell.
Yeah.
Talented roster. This is getting kind of old, so
it's like old, talented.
Pretty injury prone. Good luck. They're a patient organization, though. Yeah. I will say that.
So, he might get a little time to.
If you can keep the locker room, don't kick players.
Yeah, don't do anything stupid.
Then I think he'll have time. Because he's going to need it. You can't fix that in a season. Can't be done.
I don't think you can fix that in 2 seasons.
It's
pretty rough.
Yeah, no, it's a rough situation.
And then the only real position we're waiting to be filled still is the Jaguars GM. That is the only remaining position in the NFL that has not been filled. That's like a major position. There's obviously coordinators and small staff things.
Yeah.
But I don't care. To put
Kellen Moore has to build his entire staff. That takes time.
There's still other
pretty
staffs
irrelevant.
That need filled out. But most of those names don't matter. They matter, but in the grand scheme of things, they don't. So yeah, just wait on the Jags GM. So that's it for the NFL breaking news, unless you have something you want to talk about in the NFL still.
I have things still in the NFL realm to discuss, yes.
All right.
So we are going to briefly just talk about the Baltimore Ravens, as much fun as that's going to be this year. There are a couple things. We'll start with good news. So starting with Ravens added 2 new coaches to their defensive half of the building. It's hired Georgia Tech's defensive coordinator Tyler Santucci as their new linebackers coach,
Okay.
and
Chuck
uh,
Pagano.
Chuck Pagano as their new secondary coach. So
Yeah.
obviously, the secondary is really kind of what needs some help. So good luck to him. Both have large pedigrees, a
Yep.
lot of experience, a lot of history. So really excited for that. Excited to see what they do with this defense. And I'm excited to see Orr kind of taking charge, building up his staff after having a year, seeing what he needs, and getting the guys in the room that he needs. So
Yeah.
great to see that.
That Chuck Pagano
Excited.
hire is pretty decent.
Yeah.
A former head
Um,
coach, someone that's been in your building before
yeah.
under Harbaugh.
So I think they're both great hires. And looking forward to see what this defense looks like next
Yeah.
year.
Should be good.
On the special teams side of the ball, I'm not going to overtly comment on the situation. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I am not either a member of the situation or a part of the situation. I'm also not an investigator. What I can and will say, I was wildly unhappy with how the Deshaun Watson situation was handled. I hope, as a Ravens fan, as a football fan, as a female football fan, that this is handled better. Depending on what comes to pass, a 12-game suspension, if that's the situation, move the fuck on. Move on. If you are unaware of the situation, I apologize if this is triggering to anybody. Justin Tucker has been accused of inappropriate behavior by several massage therapists. If that sounds familiar, take a shot. Welcome to the fucking NFL. I've always been a Tucker fan of what he does on the field. I do not know him personally. I do not know what that situation is. If that's real, if there's a real situation, move on. I hope and I believe the Ravens will. They aren't one for that kind of drama. The culture they have, the standards they have within their building, I have a hard time picturing them allowing that to move forward. But most importantly to me, if that's it's unacceptable, just move on. We don't really have any information yet. Obviously, Baltimore PD is looking into it. Obviously, the NFL is looking into it. The Ravens are looking into it. But the number one thing I can say is I was not happy with how the Deshaun Watson situation concluded. If that's what happens here, I'll be thoroughly pissed the fuck off. But I don't know enough to comment on the situation. I do know this is not the first time this accusation has been made. That's what I know. Or the first time this has been brought up. It's just the first time it's being looked into. I did not know prior to this that it had been looked into, or it had been brought up in the past. But good luck to everybody reporting and investigating it, find the right answer, and move forward appropriately, because there is an appropriate answer. 12-game suspension is not that.
Yeah. Just gonna leave it there with that.
Yeah. When something happens, I'll comment. I know it's kind of vague right now. There's nothing. I'm not going to comment on a situation I don't know enough about.
Yeah. It's all
But
speculation. It's all
yeah,
accusations. There's nothing to go off of.
there's nothing.
There's nothing public to go off of.
Yeah. So I just want the investigation to take its course. I just want a better outcome one way or another.
All right, fair enough. Um,
Moving on.
moving on.
That's it for Ravens news.
We'll quickly. I think that's it for the NFL because the Seahawks haven't done pretty much anything. I think they've hired two people, both to the offense, um, both of which, one of which is their QB's coach, the other is their offensive line coach. That will be following Clint Kubiak. I don't have their names. I couldn't pronounce them even if I tried. So, whatever. I'll bring
Yeah,
them up next week
sounds
if I
good.
can figure out how you pronounce it. So yeah, they think are making more moves in their coaching staff based on his press conference today. They did have a press conference introducing Clint Kubiak, the new offense coordinator. It's pretty good. Probably go give it a watch. Um, a lot of coach speak, a lot of talk about what the plan is. Um, if that interests you, go watch it. I'm not going to bring anything up because really it's we want to be physical. We want to be
Yeah,
tough. It, coach speak. You're not going to glean a whole ton of real information from this. The most we got out of it is he was asked about personnel usage. Um, and what I mean by that is like two tight ends on the field at the same time, a fullback. He was asked, he does plan on using a fullback, which Seattle does not currently have on the roster. So that is something we got to look at. A name I would look at heavily because he's a free agent this year is Patrick Ricard.
leave my fullback the fuck alone.
I'm just throwing it out there. McDonald has worked with him, and he is a free agent. That is a name I, as a person, would look at because he's a free agent.
No, and
Otherwise,
that's a valid statement. Yeah, leave my fullback the fuck alone.
and I'm gonna say his name right, but but yeah, just to keep an eye out in the offseason, a fullback might be a need for the Seahawks. But that's pretty much it for the Seahawks. Not a ton's happened, which is
Nice.
both a good thing and a bad thing.
Hey, quiet off season till
Free
free
agency
agency really
starts.
opens up. Then
We'll take it. We will take it. But yeah, I think that does it for the NFL portion.
well, then let's kick it to hoops.
Actually, I'm gonna kick it to hockey real quick because hockey has
You
like a
want to
minor
talk
thing.
it?
Minor
All
thing in
right, let's
hockey.
do it. Let's do it.
So currently, the NHL is going on a break for I believe 2 weeks. I think it might just be 1 or 2 weeks. I don't remember how long it is.
I think it's two.
Um, they're going on break for the Four Nations face-off. It is just a international tournament, so it's going to be between Canada, the United States, Finland, and Sweden. Um, just a small international tournament that NHLers are participating in. Um, really good opportunity. Got a lot of big names out there. Pretty stacked teams. Just for reference, Canada has Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, all playing together. If that means nothing to you, then you're not a hockey fan.
You don't watch hockey and you can just skip this part of the video.
Essentially, what I just said is three of the best players in the world in the sport are all going to team up and play together.
Yeah.
And then you add probably a top 5 player, top 10 in the
It's a
world.
pretty stacked fucking team.
Yeah. So it should be a really incredible tournament. But again, that means the NHL is on break. This does not replace their All Star break. I'm pretty sure, if I understand correctly. But this is just a break for them, so gives teams chances if you're not part of the Four Nations to get healthy, and get all right to finish out the season. So pretty interesting there. That kicks off tomorrow, Wednesday the 12th. So
Pretty exciting.
good luck
Now
to
with
all the
football
teams.
over, need
Yeah,
Need some stuff. And hockey, if okay, I want to say this to our viewers. If you are not a hockey person, but you're into sports, become a hockey person.
Oh
It is
yeah,
one of the best sports to watch,
yeah,
like on TV. Football can be a little boring, either nothing's happening or too much is happening. It's very long. It's such a long game. Basketball, it's just really who makes the most mistakes. Hockey is active start to finish. Every goal matters. You're never really out of it. It's a great sport to get into.
yeah.
We will happily explain icing if anyone has any
We'll
questions.
happily explain
Um,
icing, offsides, any
yeah,
rule that you
all of it.
want.
Offsides is much easier in hockey than it is in soccer. So happily. Um,
That is a take
talk
for
about
sure.
the toe. Let's just talk about the toe.
Yeah. But yeah. So
It's a great sport. If you just like watching sports, it's a great one to get
if you're
into.
not into hockey, watch the Four Nations tournament. That's my only recommend. Just watch this tournament because it'll be really easy to get into. You can pick one of four teams. You can either pick the U.S. if you're from there, pick Canada if you want to watch all the stars, pick an
Yeah.
underdog like Finland or Sweden. Just take your pick and just watch it because you're gonna have the best of the best on the ice together, playing against and with each other. It'll be a great tournament. It is like not quite the World Cup, not quite on that scale,
Yeah.
but that is kind of what you're looking at in terms of best of the best going up against each other and playing with each other. Should be incredible. So if you're not a hockey person and kind of want to get into hockey, start there.
It's a great way to start.
But yeah, that being said, it's really the only hockey news is Four Nation tournament kicks off, so there will be no NHL for a little bit. But we'll have some cool things to talk about with this tournament.
Yeah.
It should
And
be a really fun one.
we'll definitely talk about it because I can assure you we'll be watching it.
Yes.
So alrighty, on to the largest, most shocking, confusing, psycho trade in
Those.
NBA history. And
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
2024-2025 sporting seasons.
Yeah.
Do you have the trade details up?
I do. I do indeed.
Okay.
I can.
So
We can
Brendan, why don't
start.
you tell the world the trade details, and then we shall discuss the fuckery.
Yeah. So on February 1st, the Los Angeles Lakers, Dallas Mavericks, and Utah Jazz participated in a three-team trade. We'll start with what the Jazz got because let's be honest.
Irrelevant part of it on the planet. So we're gonna start there.
Yeah,
Because like nobody fucking cares.
that's the point. They get Jalen Hood-Schifino, a second-round pick from the Clippers, and a second-round pick from the Mavericks. That's all you need to know. Now we'll not talk about the Jazz again. They're out.
Ever.
Probably. So, the Los Angeles Lakers have traded Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first round pick for Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris, and
You really
Luka
don't know this.
and Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic has been traded from the Mavericks to the Lakers, guys. Now, I'm not a GM in any capacity, okay? But if I was, I would not be trading a 25-year-old top 3 player in the NBA to a conference rival. Keep that in mind, conference rival, both in the Western Conference, to the conference rival for a 32-year-old Anthony Davis, a nobody in Max Christie, has potential, but it's essentially nobody.
Nobody.
And then a 2029 first That's essentially a second round pick. Because in 2029, the Lakers will still have Luka. And who knows? The Lakers might win the championship in 2029. I doubt their pick will be in the top 10 in 2029.
Yeah.
So, for the Mavericks, this is probably the single dumbest trade I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was there when originally I thought trading Russell Wilson was dumb. I was there when the Avalanche traded Mikko Rantanen. I was there.
We were there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be the biggest trade we've seen this year.
Oh my god.
And then this came out. And it was like the NBA went, sit down, NHL.
It straight up, the Avs were like, hey guys, we just did this massive thing in the sports world. We know, but we had to do it. And the Mavs went, you know what, shut up and sit down. Because we can top stupid.
At least,
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing with the Avalanche.
Rantanen's at least made sense.
Last year, the deal wasn't going to be able to re-sign him, get value. Luka Doncic is signed for another 2 years.
Now, here's my thing. He was eventually going to be a massive cap hit. I understand that we have some concerns
about his...
with the shape he's in sometimes. And I understand his defensive play is just non-existent. I'm not saying there are not faults with Luka Doncic. No. But the trade-off for Anthony Davis, you and I talked, and I saw it multiple times, of comparing a trade for Lamar and Burrow. And that's not accurate.
The best one I saw, the best comparison I saw was trading a Josh Allen, top 3, roughly.
Yeah,
in
you're
his
in that
respective
range.
category.
In his prime.
For Matthew Stafford, a championship winner, little older, and has struggled with injuries.
So I don't know. The words escape me. The owner laughed in the GM's face. Like, we thought Joe Shane, right, would be kind of the laughingstock of the GMs.
Yeah.
Because it's public, it's out there, it's on television. You can Google the video of the owner saying to his GM, my worst fucking nightmare is Saquon Barkley, our best and most popular player, going to the Eagles. And now that they've won a Super Bowl with him, that meme and that video clip meshed together is fucking everywhere. Everywhere. If you are on any version of social media, it's everywhere. Okay, maybe if you're on Red Note, it's not there. But it's everywhere. So, that's the stupidest thing. It's out there. And we thought, okay, Joe Shane takes the cake for, biggest GM fuck-up.
Yeah.
When he proposed this trade to the Mavs owner, the owner laughed in his face. And then he did it anyway. And he did it without telling his head coach. Yeah. And then he held a press conference with the head coach sitting right there.
The Mavs owner is Mark Cuban, famously.
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
Mm-mm.
When did he sell most of the stock?
A while back.
Yeah. I missed that.
Yeah. It's been like a year.
I didn't realize he sold the majority shares. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well, still, that's a problem. It's to the point where I don't think Jerry Jones is the worst GM in Dallas anymore.
That's sad. That's sad.
Yeah, it is.
Like, the owner, and I have never felt like seriously someone was hung out to dry. But if you watch his press conference then, with the coach sitting with Joe sitting there. He's like, yeah, we didn't talk about it, but I know what kind of players he wants, and we're on the same wavelength. And that head coach is just like,
Yeah, Jason Kidd sitting there going, I like a player that could drop 70 points on a whim.
this is not and then he's supposed to answer questions about this. Be like, well, how do you feel? Fucking pissed.
Yeah.
like what is he supposed to say to that? Like, oh no, I thought our superstar player in his prime, because he doesn't play defense, obviously we should trade him. That's the right move. This was psychotic. It was psychotic.
Yeah.
And what's even better has been Luka's attitude through the whole thing. Just didn't pick up the phone. GM called to talk to him, and he was like, "Get fucked, I'm on a plane." The European players have an unyielding sense of loyalty.
Yeah.
And are phenomenal athletes. They're phenomenal players. But their loyalty, and I think sometimes we're confused by their energy level. Like Jokic, I think sometimes when you watch Jokic, you're like, man, do you even like basketball?
No, as a Nuggets
and
fan,
I feel that way sometimes about Luka. Is I'm like, do you care? But it's a different energy. But his talent, his offensive ability, is outrageous.
Yeah,
and I'm be perfectly honest with you. Now, the Lakers have serious problems defensively. I'm not going to sit here and say a championship this year is happening. They have serious defensive problems, especially now with Anthony Davis missing. But if you could score like 200 points, who fucking cares?
But also, as the Lakers, I'd be willing to trade a championship this year that you weren't guaranteed to win regardless. You still have to beat Oklahoma City, Denver, and then you have to go east and beat like Boston and teams like that to win the championship.
Yeah.
I'm willing to trade a championship this year
for Luka in his prime
for another 10 years of quality Luka Doncic. He's 25.
And like,
assuming he plays till he's 35.
This was crazy. This was the most psychotic thing. I saw it and I thought it was a joke. Straight up thought it was a joke. I was like, okay, we're kidding around because he's kind of out of shape and he was just coming off the injury. I get it.
I saw it from Shams Charania, who is the main news guy for the NBA.
Yeah.
He's the Rappaport Schefter of the NBA. He sent the tweet, and the first thing I was like, he got hacked. A Lakers fan hacked him.
Yeah.
And did this. And the next tweet he sent is, it's 100% real. And I'm like, oh, you were definitely hacked.
Definitely fucked up.
There's no way that this, ESPN exec is saying it's 100% real. That's not the follow-up tweet. And then 2 tweets later, it's like, oh shit, this is happening.
It's real. Did you see any of the videos of players live reacting in the moment to the news? There are players, so basketball is weird, they're allowed to have their phones on the sideline. And so they're seeing this news as they're playing. Players are just straight up like, what the fuck? What the fuck the game? Are y'all seeing this?
Players playing aren't allowed to have their cell phones, but if you're injured and you're on the bench, because you can do that.
And they're just like,
you can have your cell phone. And
then players are coming off, and reporters are like, hey, what do you think about this? And they're like,
I don't know.
What? When everybody in a sport thinks something's insane.
It's insane.
It's not just like us. It's every analyst, every reporter, every player. I'm trying to remember one player, they were like, Luka got traded, and he was like, he thought it was a different Luka. It's not Doncic. It's who cares? Who gives a fuck? And they're like, but it is Luka Doncic. Can you imagine? Because here's the other part. They called the Lakers.
Yeah.
Like the Lakers didn't call and be like, "Hey, what would it take?"
No, they
Called the
him.
Lakers and would be like, "Do you want Luka?" And they were like, "No, we're not gonna pay you for Luka. No, we'll just take him for AD and a first round pick in like 5 years. Let's do that."
The thing I don't understand is how you're shopping Luka Doncic. Okay, I understand making a phone call or two and being like,
We talked about, okay, so hypothetically, so by the way, I just want to say, my insane take about trade Dan Campbell now seems pretty calm in comparison to what other people have done.
apparently shit, dude.
But like, you're shopping him. Okay, you make the phone call. You just want to see what's out there.
But you make you call all 32 fucking NBA organizations here, man. You call them all.
Yeah, because nobody knew he was available. Because had people known he was available, you could have gotten way more. Like, way more.
For reference, okay? For reference, all right? Another trade that happened during the deadline was between the Spurs and the Kings and the Bulls.
Okay.
The Kings
I
traded.
hate when multiple teams have the same name. It's not important, but I hate it. Like when teams across different sports have the same name.
Oh yeah, it's more often than I would like it to be. So yeah,
Yeah.
the Bulls don't matter in this trade currently. Essentially, what happened is the Kings got Zach LaVine from the Bulls, Sidney Sissoko from the Bulls, 3 first-round picks, a 2025 from Charlotte, a 2025 that's from Charlotte, 2027 from San Antonio, and a 2031 from Minnesota, 3 second-round picks, 2025 from Chicago, 2028 from Denver, and 2028 that was theirs that they traded away prior. For De'Aaron Fox, Zach Collins, and Kevin Huerter.
And if you don't know who those people are,
De'Aaron Fox is really good. Okay?
yes.
He's really good. 3 first-round picks. The fucking Mavericks got 1 for Luka Doncic.
Yeah. A superstar. By the way, who was on the precipice of an MVP last year and single-handedly took his team to the finals. By the way, I just want to make it clear, it was single-handedly. All of their defensive effort is what lost them the finals, but it's not what helped them get there.
Like,
so I'm confused that you think this is how you get better.
Yeah, it was definitely the single weirdest, dumbest, most insane trade.
Okay, you know what I think it is? This is me. This would be my comp.
Okay.
To me, this is straight up like trading Joe Burrow for Derrick Henry. Because Henry throws the ball a little. He can throw the ball from the Wildcat. But he can run the ball better than Joe Burrow can. So obviously, that's the direction we need to go in.
Okay, yeah. That is okay. That is a true, yeah.
Like,
it's just...
And if that happened, would be insane. Because then you're sitting there going, you have no quarterback. How are you supposed to play football without a quarterback? I would like you to point me to an NBA team with success that doesn't have top-tier player.
Yeah. It's
now, you can have the Tatum or Brown debate, and that's fine, but both up there. Great players.
Yeah, look, okay. The last 4 champions. You can... I'm just going to take the 4 because they're the 4 I can remember.
Sounds good.
2023, the Boston Celtics win the championship. You had Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
2 All-Stars, 2 great players. All right, cool. 2023, the Denver Nuggets win. They have Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray.
Yep.
You have a 3-time MVP on your team and a really good player. Okay. The 2022 was the Warriors.
Yes.
I'm pretty
So
sure
you
it's
have
the Warriors.
Draymond, Steph.
You had Steph Curry,
Who's the third?
Klay Thompson.
Clay. And then 21 was the Lakers.
Yeah, no, 2021 was the Bucks.
Or were they 2020?
Yeah, Lakers were 2020 in the bubble. You had the Bucks, who have Giannis Antetokounmpo, widely considered a top player.
One of the best, top 3,
Put him somewhere. Doesn't
5
matter.
in that range.
Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton, who at the time was really good. He got traded this whole thing. But you had Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then 2020, LeBron and AD win. The common thread is every team has at least one superstar.
And a great number 2. I'm not sure how we're looking at AD and Kyrie Irving going, that's the same.
Both great
That's the
players.
same thing. That's a championship.
Like, don't get me wrong, both
Great players.
But you don't have
no
that.
longer in their prime. Aging. Kyrie goes through.
You know what? Here's a really good way to put it. They're both great number 2s.
They are phenomenal number 2s.
They're like the number 2 you could win a championship with, but you need that number 1.
You need a Luka Doncic.
It's really funny. Okay.
We've now given LeBron James
Luka Doncic. Now, I will say, I still don't think the Lakers are winning the championship this year.
No, I do think they need defensive help.
Yeah, part of that is they did trade away Anthony Davis.
I also think we made mistakes with other parts of our bench based off one really good G League game.
Yeah. We won't
so
comment
other mistakes have been made by the Lakers.
But again, the lack of center, because they don't have a center, and that's not necessarily their fault, but it still is, because they did try to trade for one, and they did make the trade happen. The trade was rescinded because the center they traded for failed physical, so that didn't happen.
No,
it's gotta be the most awkward situation, by the way, to get traded and then have to return.
And then the team be like, so, never mind, I guess. Just kidding. JK. LOL. Moving on. Are you going to be at the facility tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like, that's the weirdest shit. Like, I feel like I feel like if you take the 3, right? The 3 major US sports.
Yeah.
We could take 4. But my analogy works better for 3.
Okay.
It's kind of like maybe you can relate to this, right? It's kind of like your typical 3-child household. You have football, which is your kind of popular firstborn. They don't have a ton of drama, but when they do, it's like shit hits the fan. It's off the wall crazy and cops get involved. You have hockey as your younger child. Like, if you're in it, you're in it. Like, they're your obsession. But there's not a ton of drama. Like, you're just happy that they're there. And then you have
the middle.
Basketball. who is either the quintessential middle child, we ignore them, and they're just, we watch, we enjoy, we're happy, or they're the most attention-seeking planet. like, like nobody cares, but they're the most drama-filled sport
Yeah.
in the U.S., which is insane when the term diva wide receiver exists. Like, I don't understand how you're the most needy.
Well, we haven't even gotten to another trade that happened at the deadline.
Let's do it.
But the Miami Heat traded Jimmy Butler to the Golden State
Well,
Warriors.
he did not give them a motherfucking choice.
That's my point. Is they suspended him like 3 times.
Yeah.
And he was traded. The Golden State Warriors send Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and a first-round pick to the Heat. And they get Jimmy Butler.
I mean,
so,
that for the Warriors is a great trade.
Yeah. Sure.
Like
getting another great player in.
After you got rid of Draymond.
They still have Draymond. They got rid of Clay.
Or Clay. When you got rid of Clay, just really filling out that roster. You get a little younger.
Yeah.
Great trade. That, though, but that's kind of my point, is the drama for that has spanned months. Like, Jimmy Butler has been banging his hands on the fucking table, demanding a trade for months.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's so much drama. I don't understand it. There are 15, 20 people on a roster, and all of you are crazy.
It's 12, 15-ish. NBA rosters are weird. I think 12 is the standard.
So yeah, it's just like so much drama.
Yeah, I think it's 12. Because come playoff times,
I genuinely, like, no matter what you want to comp it to, could you imagine Lamar, Burrow, Allen,
anybody
Mahomes being traded mid-season, and nobody knew that he was on the market, that he was available?
It'd be like the Ravens sitting there trading. The Ravens trade Lamar Jackson to
mid-season.
I don't know, pick an AFC team that doesn't have a good quarterback right now. Mid-season.
The Jets.
Okay, it would be like them trading Lamar Jackson to the Jets for Aaron Rodgers and not telling anybody that Lamar was available.
And doing it. And getting one first-round pick.
And Aaron Rodgers.
And
then
fucking,
maybe...
what's the dude? Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, getting Hassan Reddick and, I don't know, a Breece Hall.
Like, and being like, we traded Lamar mid-season. Next week, Baltimore Ravens featuring Aaron Rodgers. What the fuck? Why? How? For what?
A sack of fucking potatoes.
And then 30 other teams, maybe 29, going, he was available?
You have, like, the Giants sitting there willing to literally...
Going, excuse me? We'd have sold the goddamn building to you. You can own the field.
You could own the team.
Just give us Lamar. Like, he was an option? Are you seeing this year's draft class?
We would have... First round pick, second round pick.
Like,
here. We're talking like a draft day.
Yeah, like, here, just take it all.
Yeah.
You could just have our 2025 draft.
Yeah.
We'll figure it the fuck out.
It has happened before. You know, maybe that would be worth it. You can have our 2025 and 2026 drafts. Fuck it.
We don't fucking care.
We
We'll
know how.
figure it out.
Yeah, we have Lamar Jackson. We'll figure something out.
Like,
But that's the thing. That's the crazy thing to me with basketball. Is you're like
is well, and then seriously, not telling anybody. Like,
that.
you didn't shop him. You called one team and took what they offered you.
Yeah.
And what they offered you, so let's be super clear here. Okay. If you call the Giants, okay, if the Ravens call the Giants tomorrow and go, do you want Lamar Jackson? And they'll be like, yes, we do. What will you give us for Lamar Jackson? They will make a real offer. Multiple picks, multiple players across multiple years. And we will take on his entire contract. Cool, sounds good. Done. You called the Lakers and said, do you want Luka Doncic? We don't want to pay for Luka Doncic. No, we're good. Well, actually, we would take him for the bare fucking minimum. Or we would give him up for the bare minimum. This. Like, what they offered you was their way of denying the trade.
Yeah.
Like, when you offer that little, that's your way of saying, we don't want it. Because we don't want to pay for it. And then you going, fuck it. I'll take it. It's like me rolling up to a mansion, some little shitty Honda Civic, being like, hey, I'll trade you. Thinking there's no way in fuck. And they go, you know what? I want that car. What the fuck?
That's a pretty good one. But
Like,
I think the craziest thing, okay, is I kind of understand the conspiracy theories about it.
that's fair.
We've all seen where the NBA is at in terms of viewership.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real issue. I don't think that the NBA could even force something like this. You know what I mean? Like, this is so wildly crazy.
Well, and
Like,
I mean, a commentary on the viewership is that a major market doesn't really have a superstar right now. Is all of the superstars sit in smaller markets. Denver, to its credit, a great sports city, is a smaller market. Obviously, Minnesota has Giannis. The Warriors are aging. Steph Curry is aging. You just broke up the band.
Yeah.
But this was not it. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure it helped. I'm being perfectly honest with you. I'm sure it helped. I'm being perfectly honest with you. I've been watching a little bit more. Just waiting to see.
That's.
But like, I'm not because we've talked about this. I'm not here for. I had to hear about it all day during the Super Bowl for the conspiracy or the rig shit or whatever.
Like, I don't think it's true.
But it is a crazy thought. Like, because every comparison is insane.
Yeah.
And the reasons you give
just
don't justify the action.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
so
I don't care that he's a little out of shape. He still puts up an average of like 30 plus points a day.
Like, and he can drop
I don't care.
70 without trying because he did it. He dropped 70 without even batting an eye.
Yeah, he was like, we're doing it. This is what I'm doing. I don't care that he doesn't play defense. You can find other players to play defense. I'm not saying maybe you don't have a conversation with the man. But.
And like, okay. The Denver Nuggets won the championship with Nikola Jokic, who is the best player in the world. And the only argument people have that he isn't is that he sucks at defense. And
European players too. Seems to be a trend.
I personally don't think that he's that bad. Okay, like, it's not good, but there are things that he does on defense that are better than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
And I think Luka Doncic isn't quite the same.
No, it's
But
pretty.
at the same time, when you can drop 70 points,
It's like you don't need him to do that. There are other players on the court that could
you know,
do that.
that's why the Nuggets signed Aaron Gordon or traded for Aaron Gordon. That's why the Nuggets drafted Christian
You
Braun
know what the
and Payne Watson.
Nuggets did not do
They didn't trade
is
Nikola Jokic.
trade Nikola Jokic for Anthony Davis or anybody else.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Okay. And here's the other thing we got to talk about.
Okay.
Nuggets have had success. The Celtics have had success. The Warriors have had success. All those teams built relatively from within.
Yeah.
They did sign some guys, but for the most part, those teams built from within, barring a couple key acquisitions that they were still around for a little bit by the time they had success. Because NBA being only a 5-person sport,
You have to build around.
you have to have chemistry. You
Yeah.
have to be able to play together, which is why the Phoenix Suns didn't work this year or any year that they have 3 superstars. Because the 3 superstars can't play together.
Yeah.
Can't play well off of each other. That's why the Nuggets had success. I don't know what you're thinking when you traded Luka Doncic, who you could build a team around and have real success eventually when you put good defenders around him. You put another good player around him. You build around him, but you build from within.
Yeah. The thing that gets me the most is where they were at last year.
Yeah.
Like if last year you'd been bounced in the first round of the playoffs,
Sure.
I kind of get it. Of being like,
Maybe.
we don't think we can build around him, so we need something. But literally got you to the finals last year.
And you were 3 games. You need to win 3 games, and you would have won the NBA championship.
Like
3 wins away.
I just think the decision was made at the worst possible moment.
The GM for the Mavericks will definitely be fired at the end of the season
Oh my god.
if they don't.
Here's
I don't even know.
Here'd be my thing. Could you imagine as the owner saying no and then waking up and finding out they did it anyway? Like, what do you do? Do you frantically do you try to figure out if you can undo it? Like what do you do?
Yeah.
Like
You probably can't. You probably couldn't.
I'd be like, you're fired immediately. Get the fuck out.
I would wait
Call
at least
Luka,
a
call
little
the
bit.
Lakers.
Be like, okay.
Be like, he's insane. He's off his meds. We've escorted him from the property. Like, don't come back.
I wonder if your only argument could be because it's a contractual deal in a way. If you can make it seem that he was not in the right mind to make that decision.
Yeah,
if you could somehow
everybody on the planet is like clearly not in your right mind.
You might have an argument.
Like,
I think the best part
so like we've played games of like, okay, if you owned a team, and we've talked about that. If I woke up and my superstar had been traded for that little, like, how do you, and the fact that he hasn't been fired yet, but I think like if you do that, it sends the message that he is off the rail. But like, you can't really fuck it up any further.
Here's the thing: you kind of have to keep him until the trade deadline, or trade deadline. But you kind of had to keep him, and now you're like, maybe we'll see how this goes. It's not going to go well. Anthony Davis is already hurt.
Yeah.
Got hurt in the first game he played. Is out for multiple weeks, so that's good. Luka Doncic just started playing.
Several games.
Like
I think they only. I think they've only won once since they traded it.
I think you're right. And like, I'm not saying like this is a small sample size, but the same could be said. Take the Mikko Rantanen trade from earlier.
Yeah.
The best team or the best player got traded. That team is 2-4 in 6 games since the trade.
Yeah.
The Avalanche are 4-2 since the trade. They got better.
Yeah.
The Mavericks are not going to get better.
Better. No, I mean,
If anything, it's just gonna fuck. They're not gonna make the playoffs. If something doesn't change. Like,
and the deadline's passed. Can't fix it now. It's too late.
Like Anthony Davis has to come back and be
what
superstar.
he isn't. Something he isn't.
Yeah. A consistent superstar. And he's not.
Like, great number 2. But a number 2.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen. I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, I thought he was hacked. Thought the guy that broke the news was hacked. That's how crazy it was.
So yeah, it's the most insane thing I've ever seen. I mean, congratulations to the Lakers for like the steal of the fucking century.
Yeah.
And Mavs, congratulations on killing your franchise.
Stupid.
Like, don't know what to tell you. It's ridiculous. It's insane. Good luck.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I think that does us. Next week we will talk about the hockey tournament. Keep you updated on all sports. And we're gonna have some fun things and get to see what the podcast looks like without football. We're not gonna announce anything. We're just gonna let you guys be surprised. But we got some really cool things in store, and hopefully you stick with us.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining. I've been Brendan.
And I've been Dallas.
Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. This has been Flock This Podcast. Thank you all.